Hey everyone. Welcome into Attacking Third. Happy Monday. If you're hanging with us on YouTube, thank you. Thank you. Let's rock and roll. Like this video, subscribe. There's a whole conversation happening in the chat, and we want to hear from you. We've got Darian Jenkins, Sandra Herrera. I'm Lisa Carlin. D, you're back. You're back. We've missed you, D.
Oh, I missed you guys too. I'm not gonna lie, did not miss this freaking weather though. Having to de-ice the runway as I'm landing. Lisa, you were having flight problems too
No,
because of the
terrible.
weather. I can't wait for summer. But it was a nice trip. You guys crushed it on the show. I loved the last show's conversation about all the transfers. Sandra's article is amazing. I can't wait to get into it. There's a lot to
Oh,
catch up on.
Sandra, she actually listened, do you think? We'll
I
quiz
believe
her.
it. I
We're
believe
going
it.
to quiz her
It
on
was so
things that
chaotic
you
last week.
said.
Hey, I even saw Kupo fighting in the comments online.
Oh,
I
Lord.
was into it.
Okay. Okay. Maybe she did. Maybe she did listen and watch, Sandra. Well, it's good to have you
Goodness.
back, Dee. Without further ado, let's get into it. Stick with us, guys. Attacking Third starts now. Hey everyone, welcome into Attacking Third. Monday, we have a huge weekend recap of the Barclays Women's Super League. We've got trades and transfers around the NWSL, and we're talking a little Denver with the one and only Jordan Angeli, friend of the show. She's joining us today. I should say hopefully because we'll see if she jumps on, but I'm pretty sure she set her alarm and she'll be up with us. Alongside Darian Jenkins and Sandra Herrera, I'm Lisa Carlin. Big show today, Sandra, because we've got D back. How are you, Sandra? How was your weekend?
Absolutely thrilled. Like, the weekend was incredible. I absolutely started my morning off listening to Cowboy Carter. Just everything feels right and correct in the world. D's back. We're about to kick this week off together with the A3. So it's like, I'm ready. Let's go. Let's do it. I couldn't be in a better space right now.
Lisa, are you sad T
Okay.
Swizzle didn't get a Grammy? I think maybe for the first time
I know,
ever
first time
last night.
ever,
Yeah.
literally ever. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it because
She's won a
she
lot.
has won so many.
She's
She
won a lot.
has won
Yeah.
so many. She's focused on the Super Bowl right now, as am
There you
I.
go.
So I'm actually in a bit of a boycott of Taylor Swift. Did you know this, Darian?
Oh, no.
Oh,
The
I haven't
conflict.
been listening to her because, we got Eagles Chiefs in the Super Bowl. So I'm refraining,
Uh-oh. Conflict has arisen.
which is kind of hard, but it's good. D, welcome back. How was it? How are your travels? We missed you.
thank you. It was lovely. I miss the warm. I miss ceviche, being by the beach, but I'm happy to be back with you guys.
You have the vacation glow. I'm not gonna lie. You do.
Thank you. Yeah, I lost all of my melanin in the winter in the Northeast.
Yeah.
I've never been so pale
Mhm.
in my life besides this last year. So, yeah, I'm like, you know what? Winter, I need to be out. I need to be in sunshine wherever we can do this remote. That's what I came up with this trip. I was like, I'm getting out. But I'm
I
happy to
love
be
it.
back with you all, with our fans, talk women's footy, getting caught up. I'm
So
with
you
it.
said we could do the show remote, but you didn't do the show from your vacation with us. You actually
Hey,
said bye.
listen,
You gotta
island
unplug
time. Island
completely.
time is a different time.
Just
Yeah.
kidding.
Island time is a different time, ladies.
As it should be. As it should be. You deserve it. A little bit of R&R before the season starts, but we're going to run back some things that happened because you need to know all about them and we want your takes on it. But first, let's talk this past weekend of footy action in the Barclays Women's Super League. We had another match day in the gauntlet for these teams and everything that has happened. So when we take a look at the Barclays Women's Super League and what happened last weekend, some big games. So Everton, they get a 4-1 win over Leicester. Liverpool beat out West Ham 1-0. Brighton and Crystal Palace, they draw 1-1. It was early. It was bookended by a goal early and then a goal late. Chelsea, they snuck out a 1-0 win over Aston Villa. So that is back-to-back 1-0 games for the Blues. After all the hoopla that was the signing of Naomi Girma and bringing everything in. But Chelsea somehow, Darian, they still escape. They still get 3 points, even when they're not playing their best football. What is it about Sonia Bonpastor and this Chelsea team that continuously just wins? It's inevitable, honestly, when you watch them.
It's Chelsea and Sonia Bonpastor Ale. They know how to just weather a team down. I mean, even looking at their signings, players that they've been going at, it's that they cast such a wide net. And Sandra made up a great point in the last show that I listened to that they cast such a wide net. They go after so many players because, hey, if they get one or two, they're adding stacks on stacks on stacks. So this team, they bring in subs, whoever, players come in late to the match. They keep weathering down an Aston Villa team who is starting their absolute best 11, their absolute best. And then at the end of the game, you saw them defending for their lives the entire match. They had a really good chance that hit off the crossbar that maybe could have put them up. They had a chance early in the match. Hannah Hampton overplayed her hand and nearly got chipped. But ultimately, Chelsea just know how to flip them around. Myra Ramirez cuts this ball across the 6th, and sadly, Hansen gets an own goal after all of that. So it's really difficult to beat Chelsea because, yes, maybe you have your moments. Maybe if Aston Villa scored early and then just sat in the low block, they could have held on and had a win. But they can just wear you down. And I don't think there's a lot of teams that are able to stop them for a full 90 minutes. Maybe it's 60, maybe it's 70, but very few for a full 90.
Sandra, is it possible that the consistency and drama of Chelsea is changing right now? Because when you look at this past weekend against Villa, it was a late own goal. The week before or 2 weeks ago against Arsenal, it was a penalty late in the game. Like, it's these little tiny things that are changing the game. Is it the opposition finding out how to slow down Chelsea? Is it Chelsea just kind of slowing themselves down a little bit?
I think it's fair to say it's a little bit of both. I think you don't want to put it all on the team dynamics, but listen, transfer windows kind of cause a little bit of chaos sometimes, and maybe sometimes that also means within the locker room or on the pitch and how that translates. But I wouldn't say it's more one than the other. I think maybe they're more even than we think. Maybe it's more 60 forward 40. But I also think for me, I'm someone that enjoys those types of games when things get really narrow and maybe you kind of got to just win a little bit ugly at times. I think that is really the opportunity where we get to see those really great teams kind of separate themselves from mid-table or just plain old good teams. It's in those moments where you kind of have the opportunity to kind of show a little bit of who you are, because it's not always going to be dominance. It's going to maybe look a little bit tricky. You're going to get tested with some things. When you are the best team in the league, other teams are going to bring their best game plan. Coaches are going to try to rise up to that level. And so they're going to get presented with some things that are going to be difficult for you to unlock. And sometimes those wins come in the way of perhaps even some luck. I mean, that's an own goal that doesn't happen unless Chelsea aren't in an attacking sequence, unless Mayra Ramirez isn't on her absolute heels sending these balls in. And so that's what ends up happening in this particular match. But I think it bodes well for Chelsea down the stretch. And maybe when they get into some really complex areas of like Champions League as well, these are the games that are actually going to make them better than the ones that are the blowouts.
Yeah, that's so true. These are the games that they're going to reflect upon. It's always the case. It always happens. Elsewhere, Manchester United in the 6th minute, they get their lone goal to get a 1-0 win over Tottenham. But this is huge for United because they have now jumped into second place in the standings on 30 points. So 7 behind Chelsea and 3 points ahead of Arsenal. So United sealing the deal in the second place spot. But there was another big game, the biggest game of the weekend, Manchester City against Arsenal. And this one was a gauntlet. It was insane. 7 goals throughout this. Ultimately, though, Arsenal, they get the 4-3 win over Manchester City, just barely. So the standings shake out, and it's Arsenal in 3rd, City in 4th. But Dee, this Arsenal City game, break it down for us.
I mean, I think the men and women's side for City both decided this weekend that they were just going to let their defense go to shambles and overplay their hand building out of the back. And it left them in such desperate moments of defending and trying to crowd around the goal and exposing these huge gaps around their back line because they were so unorganized that then Kiara Keating's doing things really uncharacteristic of how she plays. And Arsenal couldn't miss. They could not miss. It was one of those matches where everything that they were shooting, well, nearly everything was going into the back of the net. And they were preying on the fact that City were sending so many numbers forward. They play in that stretched position, especially in their build out. And they just weren't good enough on the day. I mean, I think Fowler, Fujino were players to highlight on City's side. But if you look at Arsenal, I mean, there's Blackstenius. There's Maria Caldente, who I think is becoming a sort of an unsung hero for Arsenal, watching her play and bringing, her Spanish flair, but also the intensity now that comes with playing in the Super League that is just unstoppable. And City did not have the answer. And it's almost frustrating to watch, but man, I love a high scoring game. But City, what really let them down, it's defense.
High scoring game also end to end from the opening minute, right? 1 minute in, we get the goal from Arsenal, and it is back and forth. And Stina Blackstenius just at the very tail end of this game getting the game-winning goal in the 78th minute to give Arsenal the bump and the lift over City. When we think, Sandra, about like the title race and the direction it's going. We made predictions a couple weeks ago. Have anything changed in your top four? I mean, United's now in second and they've bumped Arsenal. City's all the way down to fourth. It's a little bit of chaos at the top.
It's a little bit of chaos, but I don't think my opinions changed from last week. I think when we did a little bit of a preview and the look ahead to these matches that we're recapping a bit now, if there were if there were anything in particular that I was going to be looking for in this Man City versus Arsenal match, and I just kind of kept it simple and said it's just how high stakes of a game it is, and that maybe at this point in the season it shouldn't feel so high stakes, but it does, and that whoever came out of that as the winner is going to obviously better position themselves moving forward, and that hasn't changed for me outside of this result. I think it's another poor result for Man City. I think they're going to continue to struggle a bit through the rest of the season. I think we see who they are without Bunny Shaw, who was unavailable again in this match, and it's tough because you have incredible pieces and in Miedema, you have these really kind of step up and show out type of games from Mary Fowler, but you also take a look at what was occurring over the course of this transfer window, and that kind of puts a sour spin on some things, and you wonder, like, were they ever even in contention to go ahead and kind of shore things up on that back line? There's all these question marks around it, with those kind of outside factors perhaps affecting a little bit of what we're seeing on the pitch. And as far as the top four moving forward, I think this is what it's going to look like. I think Chelsea is just going to continue to kind of run away with things, and Man United and Arsenal will continue to sort of duke it out.
The issue with the City now having all these star players that they do, right? Bringing in Caroline, the Brazilian international, it's that they're not up to par right yet. I mean, even we saw Caroline, she came in off the bench. Bunny Shaw, she did make an appearance in the second half of this game, which it gives her 100 appearances for Manchester City. But she's also coming off of an injury. So it's taking a little bit when City don't have that. They don't have time right now in order to make that up, because the games when you're playing against the top four, against Arsenal, these are the ones City has to win in order to contend for the title and be at the top. It's interesting. We're only 13 match days in. So it's very fun to see how the second half of the season has already been unfolding. Of course, we'll keep you updated on things that change, transfers that happen, and moves, of course, that are at the top. Before we end this segment, though, Sandra, just a moment of silence for Crystal Palace. They're struggling. Oh, wait, it's a podcast. We shouldn't do a moment of silence. What's happening here?
Thank you.
Brutal.
Someone's got my back. Listen, I made a joke at the beginning of this season, and now we're all leaning into it, and I'm sticking with it. I want to stick with Crystal Palace, and I'm just going to say that I appreciate them being so tough, man, so tough. But you hate to see it. I mean, you really, really do. Some narrow games there, but they they just can't capitalize on them, unfortunately.
Oh, what a tragic own goal.
Tough.
Ma, just sorry,
Really
just woofed the ball. And
Ugh.
it was a brilliant pass back to her. It's tough. That happens. I like that they were able to level. There's
Silver lining?
hope there.
There's a silver lining. There's always a light at the end of the tunnel, but that tunnel is long and dark, boy. I tell you.
Tunnel is long and dark. Yeah, it was 1-1 with Brighton at the end of it, but it's tough. Crystal Palace are in 12th place. They are the bottom of the table with only 6 points through 13 matches. Tough. Those 3 draws have helped them a little bit, given them a couple other points, but they sit 3 points behind Leicester, who's in 11th, and then 4 points behind Villa, who is in 10th place. All right, guys, that does it for our Super League roundup. We are chatting NWSL trades and transfers and signings and things that have happened. Stick with us. Hey everyone, welcome back to Attacking Third. NWSL offseason trades and transfers are crazy. The signings are coming out of everywhere. Let's give you a roundup of everything that's happening so far. Angel City FC, they've announced that they have signed Japanese defender Mayaba Moriya to a 1-year contract through 2025 with an option for 2026. Bay FC, they've picked up 2-time NWSL champion and defender Kelly Hubley. She was out of Portland as a free agent, decided she wasn't going to stay. She's just moving a little south, going to Bay FC for 2 years. Gotham FC have announced the addition of longtime NWSL goalkeeper and former club captain Michelle Bedos as an assistant goalkeepers coach. She's added to the mix. Yasmin Ryan, former Gotham player, forward now at Houston Dash. She has signed a 3-year contract extension already with Houston. So the 2-time champion is staying with the Dash. And then Orlando Pride, they have acquired Zambian international forward Priska Chalufya on immediate transfer from Liga MX Femenil side FC Juarez. It's an undisclosed fee for the Zambian international, but Orlando Pride feeling like they are wanting to be contenders remaining at the top of the table. I mean, Dee, when you look at Orlando signing this Zambian international and the moves that they've made, and frankly, all of these trades, it says that they want to win. They want to do the double again next year for Orlando.
Said, hey, no one can handle Zambian international Barbara Branda. Bring them out, bring them out. It's the African takeover in the NWSL. I love it. I love that they're bringing in players that I think keep adding just another level of competition to this league. And then bringing in a player that you already know has chemistry with Barbara Branda. They played together in AFCON at the World Cup with Zambia. Mm-hmm. It's just a way to add so much more of a threat going forward. I mean, 2 Zambian forwards going against any team in this league, seeing what we saw from African players last year is going to be so tough to play against. I'm excited to see how they play together in this league, let alone how other teams try to defend Orlando. And I think it's a move that makes sense with them losing Adriana. I expected them to sign another international and especially a forward. So this makes a lot of sense for Orlando. And I think, did we all predict that they would repeat? I believe.
Did we get there yet?
I think I did. Let me say that.
Not watching these
the morning footy's creeping into the age.
It might be. It probably is. But I do think Orlando has the opportunity to repeat. I mean, they haven't made a ton of changes. I think that they're reinvesting into the players that they already had, which we don't see that from a lot of clubs. Gotham. So I like this. I think that they're going to rock with it. And another one I love, I cackled when I saw that Houston already signed Yaz again. They saw her in preseason. What? Yep.
Yeah, we want her.
She wants 3 years. Let's go.
Give her what she wants.
Yes,
I know.
Houston,
I love Kelly Hubley. I love Kelly
Yes.
Hubley to Bay. I think this is a
Yeah, it makes
really,
sense.
really good move. When Kelly Hubley announced she wasn't returning to Portland, I had her circled on my free agency list as someone needs to pick her up because she can play in the center back position. She can play in the outside back role. She's a veteran in this league. She has a lot of leadership. And I think this is a good move because now when you look across the back line of Bay, they have Caprice Didasco, Abby Dahlkemper. They have now Kelly Hubley adding into the mix. Alyssa Milan, Emily Menges. Like they have a lot of defensive depth. I wonder if we could see maybe a formation change from Albertine Montoya, 3 back. That's what I'm thinking, D. I'm thinking
Let's go, Albertine. Loves to attack. I think the 3 back makes the most sense for maybe the style they want to play.
I agree with these players that they've brought in. It would be great. It will be really fun to see. That's my shout from this list that I'm like, heck yeah.
Yeah, maybe we also, maybe we get a little bit of a different start for BFC now that they've shored up some things in the back. I mean, they had a wild first half of the 2024 season, and we saw them conceding goals, and that provided a lot of chaos and a lot of fun for neutrals. But when you're on that side of it, it's deeply frustrating. So I would imagine that getting even more veteran presence along the back line is going to be helpful to them. But come on, there's been so much chatter about transfers over the last week. It's even bled into this week because some other things are getting official. We only touched on the reporting around Tarciani leaving the Dash, going to Lyon. Now that's official. So that's in the news as well. Kira Walsh, another one of these targets for Chelsea, and not just any target, one of the best midfielders in the world, and another world record transfer fee made. Like that's 2 in what was ultimately less than a week for Chelsea. It's I hate to even use the framing of like insanity, but I just don't have other ways to articulate that. I mean, it was one thing for us to kind of react to the Americanness of it all with Girma going to Chelsea and what does it all mean? And we all had a lot of fun with that. But to just do it again, just so casually within the same window for another player, an English, superstar, and just to bring her into the fold as well. It's part of those reasons why I think we can all agree that Chelsea's going to continue to run away with Women's Super League.
And Chelsea signed Kira Walsh for 4.5 years.
And
they are playing the
long.
They're playing the long game.
It's going to be that spine is going to be ridiculous with
It already is.
It's just like, and you're just thinking of like it's currently fine. It's fine as it is, but it's just going to be like outrageous moving forward too. But I think in part of our discussion, I think at one point I had mentioned that I wouldn't be surprised if in a few years we would see that transfer number rise to potentially like 2 million. And now I'm like, that actually might come sooner. I think I mentioned something like, like 2030. Like I'm officially crazy because I'm like, if they're just increasing like that in the span of a week, like what's it really going to look like? Not so much in a few years from now, but really maybe even just as soon as next year. But I know for me, who among us doesn't love to read their own work or listen to their own voice? But I miss Darian so much, and I kind of wanted to give her the opportunity to maybe bookend this a little bit because I want to hear from a player perspective side of things, and just what was your reaction, just sort of watching, listening, seeing all this stuff kind of unfold on a beach of all places, just relaxing.
I did get FOMO a bit. I loved the last episode you guys did. As I was listening to it, I was like, dang, I wish I could have been a part of it and kind of added my own thoughts because yes, there's the argument made that the NWSL is one of the best leagues in the world. Some people say it's the best. I think when you take a step back and look at how small the league is still, we don't have as many teams as Europe does. We don't have the same competitions. We don't have the same opportunity to play on different tiers professionally as Europe does. And I think that with that, because European teams are so much more established, I'm just talking Europe, US. I'll talk a little bit Liga MX, but the NWSL has so much, I think, on the back end to work out of how teams are brought in, how organizations are run, that players now don't have to stick in the NWSL, especially if you're a big name player. Why would you not go to a legacy club like a Chelsea, like an Arsenal, Lyon, whatever team you want to name, get paid more. You have finer facilities. You have more of a culture of football that you're walking into. You're playing against competition you play in at World Cups, at Olympics, Champions League. There's so much opportunity to add depth and a different level to your game. And what a brilliant thing that soccer is, that when you're a pro athlete, you're paid to go kick a ball on a soccer field. Why would you not go live in another country to do that? Why would you not have that experience when you're younger? I always tell players, my biggest advice, go play overseas. That's my favorite thing I ever did in my playing career. I'm so happy that I did that, especially when you can go make more money. Now, when you take a bigger step back, looking at the NWSL, and we criticize the NWSL a lot. San Diego is a team that we can look at. I think there's a lot of players that maybe we thought would be going to San Diego that are signing elsewhere. You have one of the biggest players in the world, Naomi Girma, that's leaving. That's your franchise player. Watching these players leave the NWSL is going to make the NWSL have to step up in ways that we've never seen. And I think at a much quicker rate, because with the CBA, I know I'm going on a rant, but with the CBA, looking at how when I read it, I didn't think it was going to service players that are kind of in the middle ground of the league. Maybe you don't start, maybe you don't get minutes every game, maybe sometimes you don't travel. Well, a team's going to look at that and say you've been playing for 3-4 years, you're more expensive to them and maybe more of a pain because you want better standards and you're going to complain more about that than a younger player who there's no draft anymore that's going to come in and accept something a little bit less to just get playing time and have a pro playing experience and see if it works out. And I hope it does. But I think that the NWSL is missing something in that of players that have that veteran experience that maybe isn't going to work out in the long run. I think there's a lot TBD with that, but I like the competition between leagues pulling and circling players. You have to step up and vice versa.
Now's also the time for these players to do it, because we have a U.S. international specifically. We've got a chunk of time before the World Cup in 2027. Now's the time before the next major international tournament. Go overseas, get experience, go up against other World Cup center backs or forwards that you will have to defend against or go against. I like it. I like it.
Yeah. Same. I think we were all
get your bag.
I think we're mostly all in agreement that we're just like this is it. This is the move. But I think what's been the most entertaining thing about this last week, and as we're kind of bookending it now, is just like how it kind of brings up all of these other like sub conversations, which I think are really important ones to have. And I know that we feel like we'll probably want to revisit them in the future, but it is bringing up discussions around salary caps and how they look in the United States and NWSL versus in Europe and in other leagues. I know we have narrowed the lens to like Women's Super League because that's been a lot of the news between the two leagues over the course of this last transfer window. But what does it look like in England? What does it look like in France? And so on and so forth. And it brings up questions about roster building, in a year where NWSL also no longer has the draft. So it's been a wild week. But I love that we got your piece on it, Darren. I just didn't want us to go another day without hearing from you about it.
I have reading the comments, and there's a lot of people talking about do you actually get paid more, blah, blah, blah. Yes. Depending on where you go, yes. It's interesting in Europe, the setup for bonuses is different. As a team, you can negotiate in some clubs what your bonuses are going to be if you knock out a team like Lyon, if you play against Barcelona, if you qualify for Champions League, if you score 2 goals against this team. You can negotiate in a way that you all get paid. There's a lot more opportunity to do that than how restricted the NWSL can be, especially if you're not a top tier player. So just wanted to answer about that.
I was going to say, maybe correct.
Yeah, go ahead, Sandra.
I think we might have the same question. I was going to say, like, would you say that like the contract stuff, depending on the type of players, depending on the type of contract, like, I mean, we saw it even in the transfer. Girma's Chelsea transfer at 1.1 and Neishwanger's transfer at 100. We're talking about a literal $1 million difference. And I would assume that would mean that the eventual player contracts will also potentially be different. But for some players, and I'm not saying it's these two players, I'm just speaking in generalities. For some players, the difference of like $10,000 more playing overseas versus not getting that at home, quote unquote, is a huge difference maker.
Massive. And you get to go live in another country, experience a new culture, and get better at the game. Why would you stay? That's why I think with the Canadian League as well, we're seeing players that, you know what, maybe didn't get a lot of playing time, didn't travel, wanted more opportunity. That's where you're going to go. You're going to get more money. You're going to get playing time. You're going to get better bonuses. I would leave too. And especially if the NWSL just wants to go with younger players and that's how you want to develop your team, do it.
Mm-hmm. And even the players that we are talking about, Germa, Neishwanger, even Caroline, these are young players early in their professional careers. Now is definitely the time to go experience because you have so much more room in your toolbox to continuously add things to your game and experience it. I agree. It's very interesting about the contracts. Is that set up because of the NWSL or like American economics?
My experience playing in the NWSL, it's hard to really finagle specific bonuses unless you're MVP contender,
Got it.
a team that's going to win the championship and you play a lot. You can include, you know what, if I make second best 11, championship, blah, blah, blah. But to put in specific, like, hey, I score 5 goals, I want this bonus. It's difficult. You get a lot of pushback.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in Europe, it is much easier to do that. There's a much greater incentive to do those things. I also want to point out the NWSL, that's a lot of pressure, say a Naomi Girma, to be the face of San Diego with everything going on. If I'm her at her age, I don't want to deal with that. I want to go play. I don't want to have to be getting asked about front office stuff or it be a thought of who else I'm going to play with in the back line because we're losing everybody. Players shouldn't have to think that way. And I think honestly for women's soccer and women's sports in general, it's always put on the shoulders of the player to make things better and just put up with it. Now you don't have to. So NWSL teams have to step up.
I love it. Thanks for your insight on this, Dee. This was cool. This was a good combo.
Welcome. Thanks for letting me rant.
I'm glad we started on this. Yes, we're always just like, well, guys, everyone, get ready to just be amazed and dazzled because we got a friend of the show joining us next segment because Denver is joining the NWSL and the one and the only Jordan Angeli is joining us to talk about it. Stick with us. Hey everyone, welcome back to Attacking Third. Big news happened last week for a record expansion fee of $110 million. The NWSL has its 16th NWSL franchise. It's coming to Denver, Colorado, set to play its first season in 2026. And to talk to us about it is the one, the only former NWSL superstar, friend of Attacking Third, friend of CBS, NWSL commentator, and perhaps the mastermind behind bringing Denver into the NWSL, Jordan Angeli.
Denver.
Hey!
Vamos.
Guys, I missed you.
Jordan, welcome back.
So nice to be here. Gosh, you guys, I was in on that last conversation, but we got to pivot back to NWSL. We got to.
Well, wait. Let us know. What do you think about that?
Give us your hot take.
Should everyone be going to Europe? What are your thoughts?
No, everybody should be coming to Denver, number one.
Hey.
Number two, I understand the push to go to Europe. I had a conversation actually with Sofia Huerta over the offseason at Lindsay Horan's wedding. I'm just going to drop those names and just, I'm back. I'm dropping names. And Sofia was like, thanks for supporting me and doing this. And I'm like, of course. I think that this is a really good opportunity and you should take the opportunities as they come. And I think that is a little bit of a wake-up call for NWSL, and we'll continue to see how that evolves the league. But you can't miss up those opportunities like going to Chelsea, going to Lyon, going to Arsenal. So I think I would do it too.
Yeah,
if that was me and I had that chance, because I can always come back and play. But yeah, I think we'll see what happens in NWSL over the next couple of years.
They'll have to level up. They'll have to change. But they've already leveled up, frankly, because they are bringing an NWSL franchise to Denver. Jordan,
Yes, I gotta get my shirt in here.
congratulations. We are
Thank you.
so proud of you. When they announced and they said, Denver, welcome to the NWSL, what the heck were you thinking?
You guys, I got to say that to everybody sitting in number 38 on Thursday. And it was, I don't know, it was such a surreal moment that I got to be the person, a little girl from Lakewood, Colorado, who had a dream of being a professional. And now, you know, I feel so honored to be able to gift that dream on to so many young girls that live here in Colorado that one day want to play for the Denver NWSL team. So I think that was a really surreal moment when we found out back in December and things started to like fall in place. And we had the official conversation with Rob Cohen via Zoom. And he was like, well, I wanted to tell you guys this in person, but I guess it leaked. We're getting the team. And I saw, you know, potential stadiums and I saw potential colors. You know, we're working hard behind the scenes to get all those things happening. I couldn't help but cry because it just feels like it's been a long time coming and something that has been a thought of mine for a long time. But the reality of the last 2 years and how hard we've worked as FDFC to figure out a way to bring all these people together who would really fund this team. It's the coolest. It's really honestly the coolest thing that I think I've ever been able to be a part of.
That's so awesome. Like, I can't front, like, watching all the the leaks and the reporting happen, and I just like couldn't help but think of you like at the front of my mind, just because it's so awesome to see something just, it wasn't just like an idea, it was like a hope and a dream and a wish, and just to watch it kind of manifest itself into a movement a bit for Denver, and then kind of come into fruition. Not to like keep you on the waterworks, but like I thinking of you like in the front of my mind, I brought out one of my favorite soccer relics. I think I might have shown you this before, but this is exactly who I thought of. This is who I thought of. Exactly.
Oh my gosh.
This is 100% who I thought, because I didn't know you as a little girl, right? I knew you as this Jordan Angeli of the WPS, of the Breakers. So we're talking like not just like one, but like 2 leagues that you have had experiences in, and as a former player. And that's part of what this next era of women's soccer in America also looks like. It looks like it looks like this. It looks like former players having a say in how things look moving forward. So A, I want to thank you for your efforts. And B, Jesus, I'm making myself emotional. And B, I just want people to hear from you, maybe some of the nuts and bolts, because how do you go from a wish, a hope, and a dream to Denver NWSL? What does that mean? What does it look like? I know it entails many, many steps.
Yeah, well, first off, let's start with you guys just being such a big part of this. I remember one of the first weeks at CBS a year and a half ago, we had a call with the commissioner, and I was like, I got to leave our production meeting to go talk to the commissioner. And you guys were like, what's going on? And you know, you had already known about Denver and FDFC and what we were doing, but you guys have been such a big supporting part of, you know, being there for me and helping me keep going after what feels like inevitably it wasn't going to come to Denver, or things weren't going right. And you guys just always supported. And I'm very appreciative of that. I'm also appreciative you didn't go like a super close up of that card, Sandra, because my facial expressions are something else. But how do you do it? Honestly, it's a lot of hard work. I think you start with this idea, and it was Tom Dunmore who came to me and said, hey, we want to bring a team to Denver. And this had been something I had talked with a number of people over the years, but I don't know where the money is in Denver, right? I didn't know who to connect with. I didn't know politicians. For me, I knew soccer, and I know soccer. And I wanted to, you need to find the right people who have that same crazy dream. And it was Tom and Ben who had that crazy dream. And Ben has really good connections politically in Denver, Ben Hubbard. And then Tom he built Indy 11. He built a cricket league. He built a snowboarding league that's about to launch. So he knows how to do sports entrepreneurship. And so as a group, along with Nicole Glaros, who came a little bit later after launch, but she came in the summer of 23, it was just like a really good mixture of people who knew how to make this work and all believed in the same thing. And the first conversation I had with Rob Cohen was actually, I was in Connecticut and working for CBS. And I remember leaving that convo, and it was the four of us from FDFC afterwards, and we're all on a Zoom, and we just look at each other, and it was kind of silent because we knew we found the guy. We knew we found the person who had that same crazy look in his eye to believe that this wasn't just a good investment, that this would be impactful for Denver, as somebody that is involved in the community, who has been a part of the fabric of building Denver into a bigger city. And he said, you know, we don't have a women's sports team, and our soccer team could dominate this city. And I loved hearing that from him. And so over the last 2 years, it has just been a lot of conversations. It has, it's a lot of hard work. It was a lot of hope that it would turn out to what it is, but there were little moments along the way, like that conversation with Rob and some of the other things where I just felt like I could almost already feel that we were going to get the team. Like I could feel like what it was going to be like on the first game of our inaugural season to stand in that stadium. And those little moments, I think, keep you going because you can start to see the dream become a reality.
Oh, Jordan, we're all getting emotional. I'm over here like,
perfect. At least it's you and not me this time, right? It's always me.
I'm gonna go next. Prepping myself. Something you just said just sat with me though, is you saying, I'm not an expert in all of this. I don't know who to go to, but hell, I know soccer, and you're an expert in soccer. WPS, NWSL, incredible analyst, and now part of a group bringing a professional team. I mean, you're one of those players that we look back at your playing career, and women's professional soccer is built on your shoulders in the United States. Now you're building your own team and stadium, and your experience is so invaluable. And you're also giving foreign players like me inspiration to do something like that. I mean, that's not something people even really think about. So right. I want to know what is different, from your experience, that you want Denver to be from any other franchise in the NWSL.
Well, thanks, Dee. That you said a lot of kind things right there. And one of the things I keep thinking about is I've kind of always been this, like, even when I was a player, like I wasn't flashy. I wasn't the person scoring all the goals all the time. Sometimes I had really good years, but I kind of just wanted to be a part of a team. And that was my favorite part about playing soccer. And I think I see that in the things that I do now, that being a part of a team is the most rewarding thing. And this is just a different team, right? I told somebody else, like, FDFC set the foundation, right? We built the defense of this team. And then we went out and we said, we need our big players, like our 10 and our 9, our big money players. And we were able to find those. So it's just another version of being a part of a team and knowing your strengths and weaknesses. And I was really fortunate enough to be with some people with some really good strengths, including our ownership group now. Just really great people and incredible leaders. And I think Rob Cohen's going to do a really good job. And what do I want to be different? I think as we build this league and we continue to see it evolve, one of the things that we see is, one, we have to thank the players that have been here for a long time, right? These players that have stuck through, and not just stuck through some of the hard times, but have done it because they're living out their dream too. That it hasn't always been easy, maybe financially or in the place that they're playing, but they continue to play in this league because they know, like I knew, like you knew, Darian, that it was going to pay off for the next generation. And we're seeing that now with players getting 200 appearances, right? Or these things that we celebrate, they really have built this league to where it is. So I first want to say thank you to those players, but now we're seeing players want to stay in a place. They want to be a part of Kansas City Current, because I think that they're kind of Kansas City, Bay, maybe even Angel City. They're saying, hey, we got to build something for you. This has to be your home. This has to be a place where you feel proud and almost you feel attached to it. Like, hey, I want to protect this house. I want to make Denver NWSL my home, not just during the season, because that's how we played. We played during the season. We went home in the off season because we weren't making enough money to like stay in market. And, I had to live with my parents in the off season. I want this to be a place where people come and they say, I have my own training facility. We have our own training facility. We have our own stadium. There's a real pride in going out there because you feel home. You feel like you need to protect that place that has been built for you. And I want people to be invested in living here. And I've seen it in working in Denver sports for a long time. Once you come here to Denver, you don't want to leave. And it is just the best place to live. Colorado has so much to offer. And I want people to come to this team and stay here because they feel taken care of. They feel like they're really invested in. And I think that is one of the things that is really at the foundation of what we're building in Denver. And I hope that we see players play for our team for 5-10 years because they just love it and they feel like this is their home.
It's off to a good start for you because you're so earnest in this. And when you have someone that loves Denver so much that they want to stay there and they want to be there like yourself, it's encouraging others to come do that. Jordan, you were able to build this FDFC investment team, or whatever you want to call it. Now, because you are an expert in soccer, in the analyst stuff, there's a lot of good talent that comes out of Denver, including yourself, and comes out of Colorado. Now, you're not the head coach of this team, but if you were the GM and the head coach, who would you want to build Denver NWSL team around? What kind of player? Or, I mean, you can drop names for sure, but type of player do you want to see in Denver?
Yeah, it's hard, right? Because there are so many, you just mentioned it, Lisa, there's so many players from Colorado within this league. And I think it would be wonderful to have some of those players here because there's already, you already have support from those players and their families. And that's been one of my biggest whys in bringing this team here is I want these players to have a chance to play in front of their family. When there's 20 players within this league who are from Colorado, just imagine the stadium every weekend with somebody else's family filling a section. Like you already have a section of fans coming to watch somebody play. So of course I would love to have some Colorado talent, but I think Denver and Colorado in general, one of the things I've noticed about these players, and maybe it's something that I've seen in myself, is like there's a grittiness about us that we just want the most. We are willing to be patient and work hard and see success come. I think of someone like Ryan Williams, who, maybe wasn't as successful entering the league, but now has continued to develop herself over the years. That's grit. That is being able to believe in yourself and to continue to go when things are tough. And I don't know if it's our elements, our altitude, but there's grittiness about Colorado players. So of course I would like some Colorado players to be involved. I'm sure you guys can inquire about the names and talk about that within yourselves. But I really want players who want to be here. And I think that this is a great place to play soccer. There will be a home field advantage every time you step out onto the field. And I want players who are soccer savvy, who have this real intelligence about them, but are willing to put it all out there for the team, because I think that is the most important thing when you're talking about a team sport, a professional sport, is it can get so involved around someone, but you also need that person who is the leader to also say, this isn't about me, this is about the team, and we want success for the team.
Okay, Jordan, you're not giving us any names.
No, you guys can do it. Come on.
Okay, maybe you will.
Job. You got it.
Maybe you will name this for us. So for people that will be coming to Denver in 2026 for the home opener, for all the home games.
You guys will be there for the home opener.
Yes.
I'm already putting it. I'm pitching it to your bosses already.
100%. A3 will be there. There's going to be a stadium for this NWSL team. And as a Denver resident, you now get to pick what restaurants you want in the stadium. So what is the number one Denver restaurant you want in the NWSL stadium?
I feel like this needs to prep me. Actually, I got it because I love this place called Quiros Arepas It's an arepa place, which I am obsessed with those. And I want them to be in there. I want an arepa shop to be in our stadium because I will be having one every game when I am there. So obviously it needs to be there.
I like
Do
it.
you guys know what
Okay.
those are?
Yeah,
No.
arepas are delicious, man.
Yeah, I love
arepas.
arepas.
I didn't. I
So
was not. I didn't know there was a straight up like arepa culture in Denver. So you're putting me on. I'm gonna want that when I come out there.
I got you, Sandra. I got you.
Okay, Jordy, you've been saying this whole time we've been talking FDFC, and that is for Denver FC. That was the campaign that you came up with. Well, now you got the team. It's coming in 2026, and we want to pitch you names for Denver's NWSL team, and you have to pick one.
I'm all ears. I'm all ears. Okay.
Okay. Darian, would you like to start?
I knew it was going to be me first.
Clear that throat. Here we go. Here's the best one coming at me.
That's right.
Jordan, you described Denver already as gritty, patient, hardworking. I was thinking of animals that are native to Denver. I didn't want to do something that's just, about the beauty of Denver. The gray wolves or wolves.
Ooh.
Imagine this. They're native to Colorado. They travel in packs. They're apex predators. They can run up to 40 miles per hour. And think of the celebrations when somebody scores a goal. Woo!
Nice.
Everyone's gonna be howling that stadium down. I don't know what that'll do for the wolves around. That might maybe like workshop that, but I think it should be Denver Wolves, Denver Gray Wolves.
Yeah. Okay. First off, there's no actual wolves in the city. They're like
Colorado.
So the wolves around aren't going to be like tempted by the howl, but I really, this is a good pitch. This is a
the
really
goals
good
being
pitch.
The iconic celebration being so loud, the wolves up in the mountains, up in Aspen. Yeah.
Great. Okay. Wow. I like the thought of the celebration being that loud. This is a good pitch, you guys. I don't know what you two have, but the first one is going pretty well. I'm liking this. I'm liking this.
Listen, we did like when the rumors were starting, we did like a preliminary kind of shot at these. And I was thinking along the same lines because I really just need more animals in the NWSL.
Yes.
Quite frankly, because it's like there's a couple, and they're like cat-esque, like it's on like Utah Royal Lions. It's just like Utah Royals, right? And there happens to be a lion. It's not like NC Courage Cougars, but there is like a cougar-esque kind of animal. I just want like straight up animals at this point. And this was actually really difficult because I don't know if you know this, Jordan, but y'all got a lot of wildlife out there in regards to the Rocky Mountains.
Yeah.
I've done my research too. I was like, oh my goodness, there's a whole list. I can't show it to you because it's actually I had to put it in a Word doc. So I can't really hold it up like I did your card. But there's a ton, and I had a running list of them. And as much as I would have loved to see something like, I don't know, like Denver Rainbow Trouts FC or something, that's a bit of a mouthful. We can't go there. But something I noticed was that there's a ton of animals. You have elks, there's deer, there's mule deer, there's moose. Even I was just like, gosh, what's something that they all have in common? And I noticed that they all had antlers. So I thought maybe you can be Denver Antlers or just Antlers FC, something like that. And someone can come up. You've got great designers out there, I'm sure, locally. You come up with some like a cool kind of Antlers-esque type of logo, and you could just be Antlers FC.
It's kind of like the Bucks, like
but it belongs to Denver.
But it's Denver, and I like this work on the research into Denver native or Colorado native animals. I like that. I actually thought you were going to say foxes, which there used to be a Colorado Foxes back in the day. And guess who is the coach of if you had to guess a person you guys know who is the coach of the Colorado Foxes, who would you guess?
Lauren Donaldson.
Lauren Donaldson, Colorado Foxes, which I think is a cool name. It would kind of be a nice ode to the past.
Was it an indoor team?
No, it was an outdoor team. It was before MLS. Yeah.
Oh.
Nice. That could be a cool throwback. Okay.
Yeah, foxes are kind of cool, but it was already there, so I don't know.
And maybe not like a whole fox, but just like a tail or something. That could be kind of cool.
Yeah, which is an ode to the past. Like the Rockies did that. The Rockies used to be a hockey team, and now way before NHL, and now they're the baseball team. So I don't know, kind of a ode to what used to be. Okay. Last but not least, I don't know.
Yeah, my turn. This is so odd that we all chose animals but I went with an animal because we don't have enough of those. We don't have them in the NWSL when that is such a lethal mascot to have as a sports team because there's so many different ways and avenues you can go with it. So Jordan, I am pitching you Denver Huskies FC. They are an animal that is a dog that hunts. They have wolf-like tendencies, but they also love their home and they always come home. And that's what you want for the players of Denver in the NWSL. You want them to want to protect their home. They go in packs. Darian, this is so weird because
wolf-like, sounding like a wolf.
But the Huskies, I like it. That's what I'm going with.
I don't know. I like the antlers.
Yeah. You guys, really good choices. Really good choices. Of course, I've been thinking of some too. One of the things that I thought of is like a little ode back to, I think it was WPS. Yeah, now I'm trying to think. Yeah, WPS with the LA Soul. I thought Denver Soul or Colorado Soul would be really cool because
nice.
This is like the sunniest place in America. We get sun like 300 days a year. So I think a little ode to the sun, to like the soul within Colorado would be a really cool one. But if I had to pick one of your three, right? We've got the Wolves. Is it the Gray Wolves or just the Wolves, Darian?
It's, we can workshop it with your ownership team and, your
Darren's
marketing
whatever
team.
will
It's
give
whatever
you the
makes
dub.
sense.
Yeah.
Like whichever one you like better.
Wolves, Antlers, and Huskies. Sorry, Lisa, Huskies is out. Because I don't really Huskies are like a north thing, like up north. Wait, it's not us. I think out of these three, I gotta go with Darian's.
Wow.
And she pitched it really well. She pitched it. It was the pitch too of like the
incorporating fan elements already. I love it.
Yeah.
You can have cute ears for the kids.
Yes.
Somebody in the comments said
I didn't think about that. They could have got antlers. You
could have gotten antlers.
You have a dope mascot.
You missed that part of the pitch,
I missed
Sandra.
out. Yeah.
And one of the cool things is we're working towards what the name will be. And so tag Denver NWSL on socials and tell them what you think the name should be, because that is something that they have, Rob talked about at the launch party, that it's going to be a collaborative effort, and it'll be really cool once we get to that place where we have a name and some colors, and it's going to be just around the corner. First game is kicking off in 13 months?
Crazy. That's crazy. The timeline is absolutely nuts. Okay, A3 fam, you heard Jordan. Come up with your own Denver NWSL names. Tag for Denver FC. Tag Jordan. We're going to spam you, Jordy, because if A3 if one of the people from Attacking Third fan base pitches a name that Denver uses, guys, we'll do something pretty cool for that one. That'll be fun.
Yeah, maybe they should just come to the opening game with you guys.
Sure. Yes, we're all going to be there. Everyone that listens to Attacking Third is going to be there in 2026. Good. 13 months. That's crazy.
I know.
Jordan, we're so proud of you.
Thank you guys. Yeah,
Thank you for doing this.
couldn't thank you guys enough, and felt good to be back on here. Good to see you guys.
It is so good to have you, Jordan. Congratulations. Denver is coming to the NWSL as the 16th franchise team, starting play in 2026, all thanks to Jordan and her millions and millions of dollars that she has to throw at the team. We love it. That's it. We're going to close the show with you, Jordan, because we've missed you and we've missed having you. Guys, thanks for hanging with us. Thanks for joining us on YouTube. If you watched on Golazo Network, we so appreciate it. If you're listening anywhere as a podcast, thanks for hanging with us. Final thoughts for the people, Jordan? One final, let's go. Let's do this.
Yeah. Should we just do Denver on 3? Like, you guys can join me. This is what I did before we went out on stage. I made the governor and the mayor and all of our investors do Denver on 3. Like, I was part of a team again, It felt good. So should we do it? Denver on 3?
Yeah. Lead us in it. Let's go.
All right. You can't wait to be a part of NWSL and see it happen in my hometown. So let's just give a good Denver on 3. You guys ready? 1, 2, 3. Denver!
Let's go. Thanks for hanging, guys. We'll see you on Thursday for more Attacking Third. Have a great week.